I once bent down and picked up a dollar bill off the sidewalk outside my office in Omaha. One of my colleagues laughed and said, "Warren, you are worth $60 billion and you are picking up a dollar off the ground." And I looked at him and I said, "You are not looking at this right. This is not a dollar. This is the beginning of everything." He still thought I was a little eccentric, and maybe I am, but that moment captures something I have spent my entire life trying to explain to people. A dollar is never just a dollar. It is a decision. Every single dollar that passes through your hands is asking you a question, and how you answer that question, thousands of times a day, quietly, and often without even thinking, is what decides whether you end up free or whether you end up working for someone else until your body will not let you do it anymore. Most people never stop to think about what a dollar actually represents. They see a price tag, they feel an impulse, they swipe a card or tap a phone, and the transaction is over in 3 seconds. 3 seconds. That is all it takes to send a dollar in one of two directions. Either that dollar goes to work for you, compounding quietly in the background, growing into something meaningful over time, or it goes to work for somebody else. The restaurant, the store, the subscription service, the company that made whatever caught your attention for 30 seconds online. And here is the part that nobody tells you clearly enough. When that dollar leaves your hands and goes to work for someone else, it does not just stop working for you today. It stops working for you for every single day of the next 30 or 40 years. That is not a small thing. That is the difference between financial freedom and financial struggle, and it happens $1 at a time. Let me show you the math because I believe in making the abstract real. $1 invested today at 10%, which is roughly what a broad stock market index has returned over long periods, becomes $17.45 in 30 years. That means every single dollar decision you make is not really a $1 decision. It is a $17 decision. So that $8 coffee you bought without thinking this morning was not an $8 decision. It was a $140 decision. The $200 jacket you put on a credit card was not a $200 decision. It was a $3,400 decision. I am not telling you never to buy a coffee or never to own a nice jacket. I am telling you that most people are walking around making $17 decisions while thinking they are making $1 decisions. And that gap in understanding is the reason why most people will work their entire lives and have very little to show for it at the end. Now here is where I want to introduce you to what I call the dollar fork. Every dollar that comes into your life arrives at a fork in the road. One path goes toward assets, things that grow, things that produce income, things that send small armies of future dollars back to you while you sleep. The other path goes toward things that shrink, depreciate, or simply disappear. Most people never consciously stand at that fork. They let habit, impulse, and social pressure make the decision for them, hundreds of times a day, thousands of times a year, and they wonder in their 50s why they do not have more to show for all the hard work they have put in. The answer is the fork. They were never conscious of it. And what you are not conscious of, you cannot control. I want to tell you about a habit I developed when I was young that changed everything about how I related to money. Whenever I was about to spend money on something that was not absolutely necessary, I would ask myself one question. Is this taking me closer to where I want to go or further away? Not, is this affordable? Not, do I deserve this? Not, are other people buying this? Just that one question. Closer or further away? It sounds simple, and it is. But simple is not the same as easy. Because in the moment, with every advertisement and social pressure and fleeting impulse working against you, asking that question and then listening honestly to the answer takes a kind of discipline that most people have to build deliberately over time. It does not come naturally. It did not come naturally to me either. I had to make it a practice. Let me tell you about two men I watched build their careers side by side, and I will not use their real names, but the story is real. Both started their working lives at the same age, with similar incomes and similar opportunities. The first man, call him Thomas, treated his income like a reward. He had worked hard to earn it, and he felt entitled to enjoy it. He bought the things that made him feel successful. He kept his lifestyle current with his income. When he earned more, he spent more. He was not reckless. He was just normal. By the time Thomas was 60, he had a good life to look back on, and almost nothing financially to look forward to. He had made a million small decisions at the dollar fork without ever really being present for them. The second man, call him Robert, treated his income like a tool. He understood early that money is not a reward for past effort, it is a resource for building future freedom. Robert did not deprive himself. He made conscious choices. He asked the question, closer or further, at every significant fork. He drove an ordinary car long after he could afford a fancy one. He lived in a comfortable but not extravagant house. He invested a significant portion of everything he earned, consistently, without ever waiting for a better moment or a more convenient time. By 60, Robert had built something that made Thomas genuinely uncomfortable to think about. Not because Robert was smarter or worked harder, but because Robert was present at the fork thousands of times when Thomas was not. Here is what I want you to understand about compound interest, because people hear about it, but they do not feel it until it is too late. Compound interest is not a financial concept, it is a life concept. Every decision you make compounds. Every dollar you save compounds into more wealth. Every dollar you spend unnecessarily compounds into less freedom. Every skill you build compounds into more opportunity. Every habit you form compounds into a version of yourself that is either more capable or less capable than the one you have today. The dollar fork I am describing is not just about money. It is about how you relate to the present moment versus the future. People who are poor in their old age are almost never people who had terrible luck. They are usually people who consistently chose the present over the future, one small dollar at a time, for decades, until the future arrived and there was nothing waiting for them in it. Now, I want to be honest about something, because I think a lot of financial advice is too clean and too simple. Not every dollar you spend on enjoyment is a mistake. I eat McDonald's for breakfast almost every day. I drink Coca-Cola. I genuinely enjoy those things, and I spend money on them without a single moment of guilt. But I am deeply conscious of the fork. I know when I am spending because something genuinely adds to my life, and I know when I am spending because of habit, impulse, boredom, or what someone else thinks I should have. That distinction is everything. The goal is not misery. The goal is consciousness. Because a conscious spender who occasionally splurges on something they truly love is in a completely different financial position than an unconscious spender who drifts from purchase to purchase, wondering where the money went. Charlie Munger, who was the sharpest man I ever knew, used to say that the big money is not in the buying and the selling, but in the waiting. He was talking about investing, but the principle runs deeper than that. It applies to every dollar fork. The big money is not in the earning and the spending. It is in the choosing, consciously and repeatedly, to send dollars toward the future instead of the present. That is a waiting game. And most people are not built for waiting in a world that is designed to make everything available right now, at your fingertips, with financing available if you cannot afford it today. The patience to stand at the fork and choose the harder path, over and over, for years, is the actual skill that separates the people who end up free from the people who end up trapped. So here is the only challenge I want to leave you with, and it is a small one, but it is real. For the next 30 days, I want you to pause before every purchase that is not a genuine necessity. Not forever, not dramatically. Just pause, take 2 seconds, and ask the question, closer or further away? You do not have to say no every time. You just have to be present at the fork. Because right now, if you are like most people, you are walking past that fork 100 times a day without even seeing it. Start seeing it. That is all it takes to begin. The dollar that decides your future is not some dramatic windfall or some critical investment opportunity. It is the next ordinary dollar that passes through your hands today. How you treat that one will tell you everything about how you are treating all the others. I have about 500 pages to read before dinner, and I am only 94. Every hour I spend counts. So does every dollar. Make sure yours do too. That is all.